Wait, can you do me a favor and close this door? This big door. The big door. Yeah, Hi. Okay. Friends, I don't know. You probably can hear me without the device, or I don't care. We can switch it on. Okay, both ways will do. You can hear me now. Never mind. Yes? Yes. Okay. All right. What I would like to show you is the model of Jerusalem without the buildings, the topography without the buildings that can help us understand what was going on. And in order to do that, can you friends see the hill? This is the hill of Moriah, and we're standing right now here. This is where we are, in this valley. It's a small valley, and we're looking across this mountain. And I would like to show you what was on this mountain in the days of Solomon, the temple. But before Solomon, let me remind you that David conquered Jerusalem. Jerusalem started here. This is where Jerusalem started, on the hill nearby. And there's a reason for that Jerusalem started on a relatively small hill. For one simple reason, there was a spring there here. Okay? Spring. Because there was a spring, people settled where the spring was. They needed water, so they didn't settle here, they didn't settle here, they didn't settle here. By the way, we are proudly presenting you Mount of Olives. That's Mount of Olives, Kidron Valley, Temple Mount, Western Hill. No, we're not. We represent Mount of Olives, and we are standing. You and me are standing down here. All right, looking this way. And then remember that David purchased a threshing floor near Jerusalem, and that's the threshing floor, right? Threshing floor. He purchased it and brought the Ark of the Covenant to the threshing floor, but he did not build a temple. Right? He didn't build a temple. So Solomon built the temple like this. Right? His son Solomon built the temple. The temple was functioning for 500 years. 500 years. And then remember 500 years after, or 500 years later, the temple was destroyed by Nebuchadnezzar.
That's right.
His name is forgotten. And the temple was renewed when the Jewish folks started to come back. When they started to come back in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah, remember? Which is about 40 years after the captivity in Babylon, a generation later. They started slowly to come back. It took them a while. And then in the year 518, about 70 years after the destruction, the temple was rebuilt in the days of Ezra and Nehemiah. Okay? This temple was rebuilt. And it functioned for a while. Until Herod the Great came around. When he became a king, remember he had two major objections to reach. First, he had to please the Romans, who said that. But secondly, he decided to please the Jews. How to please the Jews? The best way to please the Jews is to build their temple. All right? And he decided to build a major temple, major thing. And the ruins of that temple, that's what we saw a few minutes ago, an hour ago when we were touring around. I would like to show you what happened. What he did, see, he cut the mountain. It wasn't that simple, right? It took him a while before. And then he decided to build a large platform. And that's the large platform that he decided to build. All right, large platform that he decided to build. And you and me, we had a chance to see part of that platform. Most of our touring today was here, by the western side, right? The western side. But not only, we also were able to see the southern the southern part. Remember the triple gate, double gate day of Pentecost. Okay, that's in the south. But when we were on the Mount of Olives, we were able to see from the east. We were able to see from the east. And yesterday, if you remember, in the afternoon, we came to the sheep gate, to the pools of Bethesda. You remember? That was in the north, that is here. And here. Okay? So that's the trumpet here. At the southwestern corner. And then he put a sanctuary on the platform. Put a sanctuary on the platform with other elements that you have seen at the computer simulation. Other elements. Remember the columns, this, the walls around, court of the Gentiles, court of the Jews, all this kind of thing. Okay. All right. And this temple functioned for roughly 100 years. 100 years. And when Jesus was around, he saw the temple in its glory. When the temple was at the peak of its glory. Okay, that's when Jesus' time, the whole thing functioned, the sacrifices were there, etc., etc., etc. Everything functioned. Until the year 70. Remember, Romans came, and since the Romans came, they knocked down the sanctuary completely. They knocked everything away. Everything. The main reason for such a thorough destruction was the search for treasures. Treasure. And there's a reason for that. It's not that there was a golden statues and things like that. There's nothing like this in that, right? But the wealthy citizens kept their money in the temple. It was like a central bank. It functioned as the central bank, so they would keep their treasures in the temple. And that's what the Romans were looking for. So everything was completely destroyed, and it was in this shape, like this, for 600 years. 600 years later, the Muslims conquered it, and they saw this empty platform, empty room, empty space, and they decided to build their sanctuary, and they built their sanctuary, and it is called today the Dome of the Rock. That's what stands today. This thing still stands today for 1,300 years. Right? It's the oldest mosque in the world. It functions, built as a mosque, it functions as the mosque.
It's the Golden Dome.
Dome of the Rock.
Yeah, that's the gold dome. The gold is recent. It's not that long ago in the 60s. They sprayed it with gold.
Right.
There was no gold. But yes, this building was here since the 7th century. Later on, Muslims wanted to see this sanctuary. They wanted to see their mosque. It's not a very tall building. So they wanted to build their houses higher than they were. So they started to build the houses on arches. Can you see arches here? Arches. There was a Muslim house here. Today it's a Jewish house, but there was a Muslim house. And the next Jewish houses. Can you look at this? This. Okay? That's the Muslim quarter above our heads. And now we'll put it right here. That's how it looks today. Can you see the Western Wall Plaza? A big plaza where we were a moment ago. And we are standing now here. And we will come to the wall, which is the western side wall. And we will walk under the houses to this point. Under the houses to this point. Okay? And that's what is a tunnel. But I would like to clarify one thing. It was not designed as a tunnel. It was a street. It's part of the same street that we were walking, standing, sitting today. Okay? Part of the same street. It was just covered up 1,000 years later by the Muslims in order to be able to be lifted up to see their sanctuary. And then within the last 60 years, the archaeologists are working to clean under those houses a passage that looks like a tunnel. That's what it is today, but it was open to the sky street. Is this clear? Right? If that's clear, then you'll understand better, because we're going to go into what looks like a tunnel today. You will not be oriented, but we will end up at this corner. Can you tell me which side corner is this? Northwest. Northwestern corner. We'll end at another corner, at another pinnacle if you wish, northwestern corner of the temple platform. Not the sanctuary. Remember that the sanctuary is all gone. Not the temple sanctuary, but the temple platform. Okay? And remember we said that the platform still stands today. It's still the same platform today. Okay? It's about 34 acres. About 34 acres. And we said that 250,000 Muslims can come here on Ramadan. And that we said that